So I'm doing one of my favourite hobbies. I'm fondling sandstone and I'm marvelling at it. When you look at the details of this work, it really is remarkable. And when you go down and look at these, every single one of them, chip, 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 chip. Amazing patience, amazing skill. Can you imagine the skill that a person must have had, a master mason, to be given this task? Because if you get 3/4 of the way down or 90% of the way down and then you slip with a chisel and you chip off one of these pieces, that isn't going to pass. And then how long would it take to make one of these columns? Months. Carved out of, you know, originally, of course, they would have to cut a block and then they would cut the block down into a column and then they'd give it to the master mason, whom would have a design which has been asked to replicate there. It's amazing. Look at the edges. Look at how sharp those edges are. Look at how defined those ridges are. I think it's almost as equally beautiful as nature herself. Because after all, at the end of the day, it has been created by nature. Let us not have any misunderstanding about that, because we are nature. And so we create the same as a tree or a bush or something like that. Look at what nature we've created. That's a natural thing. Natural stone, only there's been a portion of it which has been taken away. That's all that's happened. There's just been a portion of it which has been taken away. And so I guess it's a bit like flower arranging. When you have a bunch of flowers and you pull off the odd leaf or the petal, or you clip the stalk because you want a certain symmetry which is aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and then you arrange them. And so that's what that is really. That's just been arranged, aesthetically pleasing to the eye, from a block of sandstone. And I realised that my videos depicting this variety of thing aren't the most popular, because people really struggle to find the appreciation of such buildings. Just like lots of people find it a great struggle to appreciate the natural world, nature. And so this brings me then to my next video. And you know, you guys listen to me and you get whatever you get out of it. But first and foremost, let's make this plain. You will never ever agree with everything I say. You will never like everything I say. You will never appreciate all the videos I make. In actual fact, there's probably going to be a small portion here and there, a snippet here, a line there, which works for you, which keeps you then driven on to the next video, because you're getting a little bit each time. Or sometimes you don't get anything and then it's like you become even more hungry for that thing that you were getting. I haven't got anything for the last 3 videos, Aaron, what are you doing? And then I'll do one, then you'll get something. I've got something. You see, this is how it is, isn't it? We go about this world getting. Because we need satiating. The mind needs satiating. The body needs satiating. What are we? Little more than devils. You know, gremlins running around trying to get satiation from everything we do. And when we don't get satiation, we're really disgruntled and we're pissed off. And you'll see the worst side of us. What does that make us? It makes us intolerable. It makes us insufferable. It makes us ridiculous. When we start looking for the answers, when we start looking for certain ways in which to traverse through this life, to make it as comfortable for us as possible, because at the end of the day, this is all we're really doing. We just want comfort. We just want it easy. We don't want pain, we don't want suffering, we don't want agitation, we don't want fear, we don't want stress. We just want plain sailing. But just like a rose, it's got two sides to it. It's beautifully aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and the aroma is gorgeous. But if you're not too careful when you handle it, it will draw blood. Yeah. And so this is a life. And so when we are looking for satiation out of this thing, we have to be very, very careful where we tread. Because there's so many obstacles which are laying, waiting to entrap us. That's just how it is, isn't it? All the venomous creatures and all the dangerous creatures and all the dangerous people and all the dangerous things within societies, you know, cars and planes and all the myriad of ways in which we could get harmed. It's all here, it's all going on. And so when I philosophize about a certain something, how to find a level of contentment, it doesn't work. It only works if you are a deep philosophical person and you live the life of a philosopher. It doesn't work if you are an accountant or if you are a nurse or if you're an engineer and you're fully immersed in the matrix with all that business. How can it work? It's only philosophy, you see? And philosophy doesn't care for reality on lots of occasions because it's very hypothetical. And if we want to live a beautiful life, we can hypothesize as to how you do that. But there's going to be a spanner in the works which is going to come into the equation on many occasions. And that's a certain reality that we have to accept in this life. And so then, if we listen to psychologists, then we can say, okay, so philosophy, is a bit flaky, can't really derive anything of any substance out of philosophy, so let me look for something else then. Let me look at psychology. If I get to know my mind, if I get to know the minds of the human being, then maybe my passage will be smoother through this gauntlet of life. Maybe. I think it's a good tool to have. But you see, if you concentrate wholeheartedly on the psychology, then you are always going to be bound within the matrix. You see, you'll never be free from the matrix as long as you're always considering that the mind is the complete reality. And so you see that there's so many dichotomies that we always have to take into consideration in this life. And this is why I convey that it's a complete and utter paradox. Every single region that you look into, it's paradoxical. And so there are no answers. If anybody's looking for the answers, then you will never find them. You will find something that satiates you from time to time, intermittently, and then after a while, that answer won't satiate you anymore, so then you'll be looking for another one, and another one, and another one. So One of the things I'm toying around with at this moment in time is that what is it that really happens? How is it that we manage to gain a level of inner standing about this world which enables us to pass through it as smoothly and as comfortably as possible? I think that it's not necessarily about anything that you learn. It's about the passage of time. Because you can say that, well, I went to college and I went to university and I got my master's, and then I went to do 5 years this law school, studying my profession, and then I became a lawyer, and now you know, I earn lots of money and I've got a good life and this, that and the other. But what has actually happened? By the time you've achieved all that, you're at a certain age, which is probably about 30 or 35 years old. At 30 or 35 years old, we generally find a level of contentment about life. We find our place. We kind of settle into something. We've got an acceptance about our lot and the sort of person that we are, and the things, the lifestyle that we can acquire within our paradigm. And so I think then, you see, if you go on from 45 and 55 and 65, then what happens, regardless of how much money you've got, or you know what possessions you've got, you start to have more resignation about life and about your capabilities and your inabilities and all this sort of thing, and about pain and suffering and everything. And so I don't think that it's necessarily what you do, it's just something that happens to you through the longevity of life. Because ultimately it has to be so that we're going to gain wisdom, and some people are going to gain more wisdom than others, and as we gain this wisdom, then that's when we start to let go of all the preconceptions and misconceptions we had about this life when we were younger. You see, when we're young, we're so full of vigour and misconceptions about this life, and you're striving for this and you're striving for that, and you think that this is like that and this is like this, and invariably you go, oh, that's not like that and this is not like this, and you make so many realisations, and then by the time you've made a whole myriad of realisations, you're just kind of like, oh fuck, what is this? It's nothing like what they tell me on the movies. It's nothing like what they told me at school. It's nothing like what my parents told me. So what's all that information? What use has it been to you? Has it all been in vain? Yes, it's all been in vain. Because the only thing of any consequence is your experience. And your experience can only come about with the passage of time. And so therefore then, I suggest that it's the passage of time that brings us everything that we need. Because even if we don't have a mansion on the hilltop and all that security, we've got the resignation, which, you know, is almost, well, it's a good second best, isn't it? You know, it's a very good second best, and it hasn't involved anything like the strive and stress which it takes you to get a mansion on the hilltop. Because if you just drift through life and you've got a certain acceptance about it, then you don't no longer want the Rolls Royce and the Bentley and the house and the villa on a foreign island or something like this. You just go, whatever, I'm all right. You know, with a couple of beers, a pack of tabs and a newspaper. And so, what is it that we've got to look forward to, people, in our lives? It's the passage of time. Because the more time under our belt, the longer in tooth we become, the greater the resignation, the greater the realisation of the inevitable, which is going to be happening. You're going to be getting old. You're going to be perishing. And so, with the realisation of that then, take each day and find something to be inspired by. Find something to tickle you Find something to get a level of enjoyment about. And that way then, you will have found the answer.